Welcome back to the exciting video. And what we're talking about today is our first episode of the greatest songs ever written. Now, before we get into this, real quick, what I'm going to do is, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to be scrolling, putting up a list of the players we have so far on what we believe, us YouTubers, to be the best players in the world. And this is a direct argument, a direct in-your-face to Rolling Stone and the pathetically bad list of 250 players that they put out. Now, obviously, we're not going to have 250 players. It's been pretty amazing. A lot of the people, we keep getting a lot of the same names. I keep getting a lot of the same names over and over and over when people send me their top 5. So I think we're like at 85 total musicians, with a lot of them receiving multiple votes, obviously. So that goes to show you right there how wrong Rolling Stone was right out of the gate. They threw up 250, and so far, out of all the emails, all the comments that I've gotten, we're sitting at about 80, 85 players in total. So, and it's been very interesting to say the least. So at the end of the video, I am going to roll the credits of the musicians. I'm going to do it in alphabetical order. This is not in the order of where they are ranked to this point. And we're going to keep this up for probably a couple more weeks. So if you're watching this, please send me your top 5 guitar players, because what I want to do is I want to compare our top 50 to Rolling Stone's top 50. And I will bet you any amount of money in this world that ours is going to be 1,000. It's already 1,000 times better, what we've compiled so far. So on that note, let's move on. And so I've been thinking about doing this for a long time, the greatest songs ever written. And this isn't really going to be a breakdown. You know, this is in this key, this is that. This is just about the music itself. And because you can always find song videos on, you know, this was done in the Aeolian mode, this was done in that, and that's not what this is about. This is literally about the song itself. And I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. And for years, since I've started this channel, I've been kicking this around in my head. And I've been, over time, been compiling lists of songs that I believe are the greatest songs ever written. And no matter how many songs I think about, there's always one that keeps coming to the top of my list, always. And that is, of course, Gordon Lightfoot's If You Could Read My Mind. And I know there's a lot of videos on this out there already. I'm sure there's thousands of them out there. But this is just one of the songs that I couldn't get out of my head when I was, you know, every time I sit down to think to do this, this is the one that always comes, well, this has got to be the first. And I've got a list of great music. I mean, great music. And it's music from all genres. It's all over the place, because they're just great songs. And this one always kept coming back to the top of my list. And the reason is this is probably one of the most hauntingly depressing songs I've ever heard in my life. To listen to this guy, the pain in his voice is just, it's unbelievable. And I know nobody can do this like Gordon Lightfoot. This song has been covered over 200 times. And I have heard numerous of the covers, and none of them even come close to what Gordon Lightfoot did. And it received some popularity. There was a disco version of this song which in my opinion was absolutely horrible, because it completely got rid of the meaning of what he was trying to say when he's realizing his own regrets and his impending doom on his marriage that he had caused. And when he sings it, you can hear the pain, the anguish, and the turmoil in his voice. And then when all these other people do it, they just do it as it's just a cover song. And none of them worked. None of them worked. Even Glenn Campbell, who is, as we all know, Glenn Campbell is a legend in his own right. Even his version just was not that good as compared to the original, simply because the amount of pain and turmoil, like I said, in his voice is what brings this song to the forefront, because he sounds like he's shockingly sad for what he has done. And the regret inside of him is basically getting a hold of him and getting the best of him. And this song by itself is an absolute masterclass in songwriting and lyrics. This has to be some of the most beautifully well-crafted lyrics I've ever heard in my entire life. Robert Frost could not have written this song better. And unfortunately, nobody writes like this anymore. And thank God we had a Gordon Lightfoot, who is now passed, as I'm sure many of you know, because just if you ever listen to Beethoven and you listen to his piano sonatas, they're incredibly moving, and you can hear the feeling, being the sadness, the joy inside of the music with no words whatsoever. Well, it's kind of the same thing when you listen to If You Could Read My Mind. You can hear the sadness. He pulls you into the song. And at some point, you might be able to relate with one part of the song. Now, of course, his was his marriage to his wife, which he had his 2 kids. And years on the road and traveling and being a musician, Gordon did some things he probably should not have done. And it got the best of him. And from the best I can tell is that he met somebody else that was kind of taking the place of his wife. And even with that, with him doing what he did, and, he was the guy that had the infidelity. He was the guy that was wrong. It still brought him a tremendous amount of pain because, his first love, his wife, for whatever reason, the relationship came to an end. And obviously, besides the fact that he had, an affair, but he had an affair for a reason, is what I'm saying. And for whatever reason, it did it. When something like that comes to an end, it's still very painful. And I am in no way saying, hey, this is a great song because he had an affair and he cheated on his wife. That's not what I'm saying. That is a very bad thing to do, obviously. But it obviously caused him a lot of pain and a lot of turmoil, which brought about the song, If You Could Read My Mind. And he wrote this song. The lyrics actually came to him in 1969 when he was sitting in the house that they were selling in Toronto, is where it all came about. And I found a quote that he put up about this that I wanted to read here. And he said, and it says this, this is one of his more personal songs that he has written. And I absolutely believe that because the song is absolutely a heartbreaker, to say the least. And it says here, I was, of course, going through some emotional trauma leading up to a separation. So that, of course, manifested itself into that particular song on that particular afternoon. And it says, and then it closes it up, has some other stuff there, but it says, I'll never forget that afternoon. And like I said, he was sitting inside of his house by himself, and it was a house that they were selling. And when this came to bear, and the song was written, actually came out in 1970, and it ended up, his divorce ended up happening in 1973. And that's literally what this song is about. Now, going through the song, he conveys his emotion, and the song starts off absolutely haunting and beautifully, where he's kind of reflecting on his own thoughts of what has happened here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the first verse, chorus, if you want to call it that, and then we'll go to the second and the third, and then kind of hear what he's going through, because you can feel, like I said, you can feel the emotion just through his lyrics. Now, this song was actually not scheduled to be released as a single. And what happened was is a DJ, as it happens to many great bands or songwriters, a DJ actually hears the song and then plays it on their show, which is what happened here. And the song went absolutely viral. You can tell that I am obviously viral. Just scratch that all together. The song took off. Let's put it that way. So the song starts out, like I said, where he's reflecting on his own thoughts, his own feelings. And it starts with a very simple acoustic guitar. And then the bass will come in. And then another guitar comes in that plays these unbelievably tasteful fills that continues to build throughout the entirety of the song. And it has some of the prettiest, beautiful orchestration that I've ever heard in a song in my life. And the thing I love about the song is it builds right out of the gate. Usually a song will start off through the verse and build a little bit, then you get to a big chorus, then it builds a little more in the second verse, and then so on and so on. This one builds tremendously right out through the first verse, but the song was kind of written very unorthodox, which is one of the reasons why they didn't want to release it as a single, because it didn't follow the traditional, formula, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. It didn't follow that formula. But the song is magical, to say the least. So let's go ahead and play the first verse here and listen to the lyrics. I mean, nobody writes like this anymore. This is absolutely poetic beauty.
You could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. In a castle dark or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet, you know that ghost is me. And I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost you can't see.
And you see what I mean? The song just builds so rapidly, but it is done exceptionally tasteful. They just keep adding and adding and adding before he gets to the end of the first verse, however you want to call it, verse, chorus, verse. It's literally just a verse. By the time he gets to the end of the verse, everything is happening already, but it builds so subtly that you don't really hear a massive change in the dynamics. But part of the reason is because you're so centered on his unbelievably melancholic voice. You can hear the pain and the anguish in what he is saying. And when he comes right out of the start, if you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well. Who writes like this? In a fortress dark or a castle strong, with chains upon my feet, you know that ghost is me. And I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost that you can't see. Absolutely beautiful lyrics. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted this one to be my first one. Because like I said, there's a lot of songs that I've got. I mean, I've got just a massive list of songs to come into this, but nothing quite this poetic. And it's sad because when you listen to the songs today, there is so much garbage and trash out there lyrically. It hurts my heart to even hear the music on the radio. When we're coming out of the 60s and 70s and into the 80s, to where the songs were masterfully written, and they actually took a lot of time and effort to put the lyrics down that would absolutely convey the message they're trying to get across to the listener. Now, for him, unfortunately, he lived the trauma that was happening, and from my understanding, this entire song came to him in just a matter of a few hours. And that always amazes me when they have this inspiration and they write this absolute masterpiece, Stairway to Heaven from Led Zeppelin, another example. If I'm not mistaken, they hammered out pretty much the basics of that song in 15 minutes, which is astounding to me that you can write something that epic from you're just like, hey, I got an idea. Boom, Stairway to Heaven. I can't even comprehend how that happens, to be honest with you. But what he does is in the first part of this, like I said, he's reflecting on his own feelings. And it sounds like to me, he's reflecting on the feelings of his loss. He knows he's made a mistake. And now I'm losing something that I loved. But apparently there's something else that he loves also. So when it gets into the second verse, it starts moving into, well, what is she thinking? I wonder what she's thinking about all this. And where he ultimately admits his own failure, his own mistakes as a husband, maybe as a father, I do not know. But let's listen to the second verse. And like I said, listen to all the music happening around it. And even though you have all this music, you have all these changes going on, the one thing you focus on, like I said, is that melancholic voice. The voice with the lyrics stands above all the beautiful, subtle tones of everything that are happening underneath. Listen to the second one.
If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel, the kind the drugstores sell. When you reach the part where the heartaches come, the hero would be me. The hero
magical. And if you look at it from the point of a traditional song, where it gets to that part, if you would, and you won't read that book again because the ending's just too hard to take, that literally could be the chorus, if you want to look at it that way. It isn't a traditional format of a regular song. So in that structure, even though the lyrics change, the melodies would be verse, chorus, even though the lyrics are not the same. And generally in a chorus, the lyrics follow suit all the way down. But it's in the second part where he starts to realize his own mistakes and that he has failed. And he starts off, if I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel, the kind the drugstore sells. When you reach the part where the heartache starts, the hero would be me. But heroes often fail. And that's what he's saying is in this situation, I once used to be your hero, but now I have failed. And you won't read that book again because the ending's just too hard to take. Because who wants to relive the pain of, if you've ever been cheated on or somebody's done something very bad to you, very wrong to you, who wants to relive that part over and over again? And instead of saying, something as just blatantly blasé as saying, yeah, I hurt you and you don't want to go through that again, he formulates it into a masterpiece of lyrics, just like a paperback novel, the kind of drugstore sells. The old romance novels, I'm assuming that's what he's referring to. And when you reach the part where the heartache starts, the hero would be me, but heroes often fail. And you won't read that book again because the ending's just too hard to take. Everything I put you through is so unbelievably painful, you'll never want to relive this moment again. And what an absolutely beautiful way to say that. And it's one of the things I like about the song, besides his melancholic voice he has, is how fast his vibrato rolls in his voice. I absolutely love that, because when I hear all these people that have covered this song, when they got the real slow, deep vibrato, it simply does not work like his very shallow, fast vibrato. And to me, that just kind of adds to the song and adds to the singer that Gordon Lightfoot is. And let's be honest, I don't know if you've listened to a lot of Gordon Lightfoot music, but listen to the Fitzgerald, listen to Sundown. This guy is a master of songwriting and a master of telling stories. And it's pretty ironic that one of his musical heroes was Bob Dylan. And it's pretty funny because Bob Dylan actually said the same exact thing about Gordon Lightfoot. And then, of course, years later, Bob Dylan inducts him into the Canadian, I guess there's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Bob Dylan was the one that inducted him into it. So now we're going to move into what I would consider the bridge of the song. And just listen to the music and the strings. That right there could almost be the hook of the song, which is repeated here, then repeated again at the end of the song.
I'd walk away like a movie star who gets burned in a three-way script. Enter number 2, a movie queen to play the scene of bringing all the good things out in me.
And right there, he says, I get burned like a movie star in a three-way script. I walk away like a movie star who gets burned in a three-way script. Enter number 2, a movie queen to play the scene of bringing all the good things out of me. So he's realizing that the marriage he had is at this point is now over. And he has apparently fallen in love with somebody else. The movie queen, enter number 2, the movie queen who plays the scene of bringing all the good things out in me. Let's finish this off real quick.
But for now, love, let's be real. I never thought I could act this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it.
Right here he says, if this was a letter written to his wife, which basically is what it is, for now, love, let's be real. And he's saying, I never thought this would happen. I never thought it would come to this point. And apparently it has. And it's gotten to the point where I love you, but I'm pretty sure I'm not in love with you anymore. It's a horribly sad song. I mean, horribly sad. Who would want to receive a letter like this? If you were in a relationship with somebody and they cheated on you and they sent you this letter, how the hell would you respond to something like this, man? It would be devastating Just from the sheer beauty of the lyrics, it would be devastating. Forget the fact I would probably be more impressed with what they wrote than the fact that they just dumped my ass. I would probably think, my God, this is absolutely beautiful. Let's finish this off.
I don't know where we went wrong, but the feeling's gone and I just can't get it back.
And of course, right here, he realizes that he's no longer in love with his wife. He doesn't know what went wrong, but the feeling's gone, and I simply just can't get it back. There's no going back. There's simply no going back. And so he's admitting that he has made the mistakes in this relationship, and he's owning up to the mistakes that he's made in the relationship. But basically, it's time to move on. And let's finish out with the last verse. This, like I said, this could be a verse chorus, because if you listen to the end of it, it is the same structure. So let's listen to the last part of this masterpiece of lyrical magic. And pay attention real quick. Pay attention to the second acoustic guitar. The amazing amount of fills that is going on that beautifully complements the basic rhythm that he's playing on acoustic, but even more complements the beautiful singing lyrics and voice that he's laying on top of it. And like I said, with everything going on at one time in the song, and there's a lot going on, if you remove the lyrics and listen to the parts, the music is masterfully composed. I mean, masterfully composed. But even with all that going on, somehow this unbelievably bearing of my soul vocal still sits beautifully on top of everything that's happening.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well, in a castle dark or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet. The story's always in.
And what he's saying there is he goes back to the beginning where he's reflecting back on him. He said, the story always ends. And I heard something a long time ago, and I hope to God this is not true, because I am very happily married. I love my wife dearly, and I can't imagine living this life without her. But I read a long time ago, all love stories are tragedies. And that stuck with me, and that has stuck with me for years. And I probably heard this 30 years ago, and that has stuck with me for years, because I've known so many people who've had these beautiful relationships that ultimately end up failing. And that's what happens here. And that's exactly what he says. Listen to this again. And that's basically what he's saying is all love stories are tragedies.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well.
Simply amazing lyrics.
In a castle dark or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet. The story's always ends.
Always ends.
If you read between the lines, you'll know that I'm just trying to understand the feelings that you lack.
Now, right here, he says, if you read between the lines, I'm trying to understand the feelings that you lack. That is how it is that you hear it on the radio every single time. Well, when he performs this live, he's always performed it live differently. And it come from the request of his daughter. She, come up to him and said, Dad, instead of saying the feelings that you lack, you need to say the feelings that we lack. And so when he performs this live, you can watch it on YouTube. If you find there's several live versions of this with him performing it, he always says the feelings that we lack. That is the one change in this song, as opposed to the original recording. And he always does it live, or every live version I've ever seen. He always says the feelings that we lack.
I never thought I could feel this way, and I've got to say that I just don't get it.
He never thought he would get to this point. He never thought that there would be a time where, he cheated on his wife. Let's put that aside for a second. But he never thought there would be a time where he wouldn't be in love with her. And he's, I don't understand. I don't understand what happened. I don't know where we went wrong, but the feeling's gone and I just can't get it back.
I don't know where we went wrong, but the feeling's gone and I just can't get it back.
That could easily be a hook of the song, that one point there. And like I said, this song is literally a masterclass in songwriting and lyrics. And as beautiful as the song is, the melody is just, I can't put into words. There's very few times I hear a song to where I think every part of the melody is perfect. This is one of those songs. Every part of the melody is perfect. Everything works completely. When you couple that with the absolutely amazing lyrics, I know I've said that a few times, but the lyrics to this they're brilliant. They're beyond comprehension to me. How to write something this eloquent, something this elegant, that is so sad and heartbreaking. And for him to come a full journey of realizing, I was deeply in love with you. I did something very bad. Now I've fallen out of love with you, and I don't understand how it happened. How did I get here? How did we get to this point? And the song is absolutely masterful. And like I said, if you take a minute, listen to the song, and I know it's kind of hard to sidestep the lyrics and the voice because it's simply magical, but listen to the tremendous amount of guitar fills and orchestration going on under the lyrics, how it never at any time overpowers the vocal or the meaning of the song. At no point does it ever do that. And it's just happening everywhere. It is all over the place. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, the composition of this, in my opinion, is absolutely near perfect. I can't really think of off the top of my head a song. And there's a lot of great songs. There's millions of great songs. But I honestly can't think of a song that is as well composed, that gets its meaning across to the listener, hooks them, pulls them in, and you absolutely feel the pain and the struggle and the strife that he's going through. I can't think of anything else. And that's why when I started this, no matter how many songs I listed, this one always came to the top. And like I said, the lyrics alone, take all the music out. The lyrics alone are stuff of Robert Frost. Absolutely beautiful. Nobody writes like this anymore. So, for episode 1, and what I consider to be one of the greatest songs ever written is Gordon Lightfoot's If You Could Read My Mind. So, on that note, we're going to wrap it up right there. And like I said, we're going to roll the credits at the very end of the video of our top 50, even though I'm going to roll all 85, but I'm going to narrow this down to the top 50 guitar players. I'm going to roll them at the end of the video. So, on that note, like the great Sammy Hagar says, if you miss the beat, you lose the rhythm and nothing falls into place. Please subscribe to the channel. If you watch this video and you do not want to subscribe, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Flipper baby, man. If you if you don't want to subscribe to my channel, please like the video if you watch it. I have videos that have thousands of views and 200 likes. And the likes are what really helps the channel grow because it changes the algorithm. When you like a video, the more likes I can get, then YouTube will start sending the video out to more and more people. Then hopefully that continues to get more likes and more subscribers for the channel. So if you like what I do here, please subscribe to the channel. At the very least, please like the video. And like I said, stay tuned because now we're going to roll the credits. And I'm going to roll all of the names we got. I think there's like 85. I'm going to do the top 50 of ours compared to the absolute horrific, disastrous, disgusting, embarrassing, degrading list that Rolling Stone put out with all their inclusion and their DEI, just so we can make everybody happy. Let's forget about talent list. That's actually what they should have named it. Until the next video, rock on.